And I think Osho talks about it a lot. For those of you familiar with Osho, is that every moment is a meditation. And that idea about, you know, if you have trouble meditating or connecting, just go into your mind and visualize what you want. It's like, what do I want for Christmas? Yeah, visualize it. Because your thoughts are powerful because they're totally reflecting the whole creation of the universe. It's all thought. Everything is thought.
They're like in awe. The Pleiadians can't come down here and live here. The Andromedans can't. The Draconians and the Reptilians can only live underground. They can't live on the surface because it's so polluted. And yet here we are, part of the same human family, and we just continue to move on. We're so strong. It's amazing.
Yes.
When you look at that and you look at our extremes in emotion, positive to negative, happy to depression, love to sadness, when you look at the extremes, we're again, this is where we're unique, we're the only ones that have this extreme swing in emotions. Now, our emotions is our biggest strength. Because when you pray or you meditate and you want to create something in your life, it's one thing to picture it. But the real secret is when you put emotion behind it, you create it. You literally create it. Emotion is what puts it into swing. Emotion is what attracts it to you.
And how by honoring that connection through our hearts, we literally have the power to influence the very fields of this planet to sustain life in the world, sustain the health and the healing and the well-being of our bodies. And it's all about the magnetic fields of the Earth. Where this really came into focus was around the events of September 11th, 2001. It was during that time that the United States has two satellites. They're called the GOES, G-O-E-S, Geosynchronous Environmental Satellites, I believe is what they're called. One positioned in the northern hemisphere, one positioned in the southern hemisphere. And the role of these satellites is to measure the magnetic fields of the Earth and send back readings every 30 minutes. And those readings normally fall within a certain range of data that scientists are relatively used to seeing. Well, it was in September of 2001 that scientists began to see some readings that were off the map, just off the scale compared to what they'd seen in the past. And they said, well, what's happening? What is it that could be influencing the magnetic fields of the entire planet to such a degree that we're seeing these big spikes that our satellites are sending back? We've never seen these before. They overlaid the data from the satellites onto a calendar of months and days, and lo and behold, what they found is that the spike was occurring precisely during the time of September 11th, 2001, and even more precisely that the first spike occurred 15 minutes after the first plane hit the first tower in the World Trade Center. Now, the reason this is so important to a scientist is because for 300 years, our science has been based on two false assumptions. The first false assumption is that everything is separate from everything else, that what happens in one place has no effect on what happens anywhere else, and if it looks like it does, it's only a coincidence. The second false assumption is that our inner experiences of thought, feeling, emotion, and belief have no effect on the world beyond our bodies. Based on those two false assumptions that have been accepted for 300 years by scientists, I can see why there would be a disconnect when they're looking at magnetic fields of the Earth spiking precisely the moment the human emotion of the planet is focused on a disaster. This led to a series of studies, and the bottom line to the studies is this. What they found is that it is human emotion, specifically the magnetic fields produced by the human heart during certain kinds of emotion, that now our document is extending far beyond our bodies into the physical world, and now to such a degree that our satellites hundreds of miles above the surface are able to pick these up. This has led to a number of studies now showing that when a certain number of people come together and they choose in a moment of time to create a precise emotion in their hearts, that emotion literally can intentionally influence the very fields that sustain the life on planet Earth. These fields are now implicated in everything from the immune response of humans throughout the planet, climate, weather patterns, cycles of war in peace, our ability to solve problems, our cognitive abilities. All of these, as different as they sound from one another, are all linked to our relationship to the magnetic fields of the Earth.